speak in different places sometimes, and one person doesn't like the way I speak. They said they like somebody to come and speak and say a nice word in the parsha, and the Yom Tov, you walk out, you feel good. But this Rabbi Mintz always says Musa and tells what to do, and they don't like to hear that. So, if anybody feels that way, I mean, that's not my style. My style is, I'll tell you something, people to walk away from, Lamaisa, in case somebody doesn't like that type of raid, put them to a bad mood. So I wholeheartedly ask him, you can go out now or any time, and I have no problems with it. Pesach is a Yom Tov, I think, that more koiches are put in than any other Yom Tov by most people. Very difficult, sort of, to speak, to prepare and get ready for Yom Tov, all the Yonim. And of course, we want to get out of it, put in as much as we can, get out of it as much as we can. Shabbos HaGodel spoke about why the nace that happened in Shabbos HaGodel, we make a special Shabbos about, special Zikaron about, because the nace HaGodel that happened, that the Jewish people took the Seh on Shabbos, 4 days before Pesach it was at that time, and they took the Seh and they checked it for 4 days, it shouldn't be a mum, and they shechted it Leil Pesach. So when they took that Seh, the Egyptians were very upset because that was their God. So they said, why are you taking that Seh? They said, well, we're going to shecht it to our God. So normally the Egyptians would have been up in arms and fight them, kill them. What do you mean? As I mentioned, if we went ahead to all the churches around, they took all the crosses down, they took all the getchkas down. So what are you doing? We're going to burn it with the chametz and the Erev Pesach. People would go, they'd be infuriated. What do you mean? What are you doing? So they should have done something, but they couldn't do anything. Nice happened, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything to stop the Yidden. And they're standing there gritting their teeth, but Shemayim, they're paralyzed. They're paralyzed. They couldn't do anything. So that was the Neis HaGodel. Therefore, we call Shabbos HaGodel every year, Shabbos before Pesach, because of that Neis that happened. This is in Shulchan Aruch. So the question is, why that Neis? You have Dam, Tzvadeya, Kinim. They didn't happen Leil Pesach. All this Nisim happened at different times of the year. It took a month in between each Makkah, just as Rashi says. They happen different times. Why don't we make a Zecher for the Dam, for the Tzvadeya, all the other Nisim? Why this Neis? And the point is that all the other Nisim came by themselves without any input from the Klal Yisrael. This Neis came through Mesiras Nefesh. That's a big difference. That by taking that Seh, they put themselves in Sakona. Because the Egyptians, Al Pi Derech HaTeva, would not sit back and allow it to happen. They get up and fight them, kill them, and say, you're not going to do this to our God? It was Mesiras Nefesh. And the Yidden did Avhal became. Everybody wanted to have Mesiras Nefesh. We don't care. We're going to do it. That's Tzivi Hashem. In the past, they weren't Amid in this Nisayan. In the beginning, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, take the Zakanim and go to Parai and tell them that we want to go out of Mitzrayim. And they came to the Zakanim, we gathered them together, and they all heard about it, and Yamin Ha'am, they all believed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to take you out of Mitzrayim. So they all started going to Parai to talk to him. By the time Moshe Rabbeinu got there, nobody was left. All the Zakanim, Nishmatu Echad Echad. They were afraid. They go to Paro and tell him to leave some. Hashem told him to go, but the heritage of a person and the seichel fight. So they just couldn't. It was too much of sakana. They couldn't do it. But now they went ahead and they did it, even though it was a sakana. They overcame the fear, and they said, "HaKadosh said to go. We're going to go, and we're going to take the set." So they had the Mesiras Nefesh to take the set, shecht it, keep it for 4 days. It was ongoing. It wasn't just for that day. The first day, the Egyptians saw it. The second day, the third day, the fourth day. Tonight we're going to shecht it. They went and shechted it. And the Mitzrayim were full of anger. They couldn't do anything about it all those days. Big nace. Why they reserved that nace? Because of Mesiras Nefesh, that the Yidden went ahead and they went against what the Egyptians wanted. We have to understand this. The words of the Malbim in Parshas Kedoshim, Kedoshim Tiyu, Kedoshim Hashem Elokeichem. Such unbelievable words. Kedoshim Tiyu, you should be Kedoshim, because I'm Kodesh, you should be Kodesh. So the Malbim explains a very important aside that the two hanhogas HaKadosh Baruch Hu has and two hanhogas that we have. Two ways of conducting the world HaKadosh Baruch Hu has, called Teva and L'mayla B'derech HaTeva. Teva, when he created the world L'chatchila, in the beginning of Elokim, he set the world into motion, that things happen B'derech HaTeva, the sun and the moon and the plants and the animals, everything, the seasons, everything goes B'derech HaTeva, year after year, month after month, season after season, day and night. That was set into motion, the Derech HaTeva. Another L'mayla B'derech HaTeva is HaKadosh Baruch Hu changes the Teva, makes a nice goloi. He can make a nice sister, a nice goloi. And the sun doesn't go down when it's supposed to go down, doesn't come up when it's supposed to come up, whatever. Water turns to blood, frogs, so and this and that. We also have two hanhogas. Derech HaTeva, how we have our body with its midas, that the goof has its cravings and desires and midas that pull us and push us. We want this, we want that, we get angry at this, get angry at that. That's Derech HaTeva, that's the way we're born. And then we have L'mayla Derech HaTeva, that we can overcome our gufniyistika, gashmiyistika, midas, and act with our seichel, and act al pi derech haTorah, that we are machniya, we subordinate our goof to our seichel, and not the seichel to our goof. So that's l'mayla b'derech HaTeva. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a teva and l'mayla b'derech HaTeva. We have teva and l'mayla b'derech HaTeva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Kedoshim Tiyu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if you will be misnayig and act l'mayla b'derech HaTeva, I'll act with you l'mayla b'derech HaTeva. Mida keneged mida. Kedoshim, Kadosh means mufresh. Kadosh means mufresh, separated. Separate yourself from what you feel like doing, what the gashmizik heritage of a person is, and you bring yourself above that, and you make your teva b'shubit to you. Your teva is an evet to your seichel, evet to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the Torah. You do what's right, even though you don't feel like doing it. You feel like doing something else, but you're l'mayla b'derech HaTeva of a person. So I'll be mistake with also. I'll make nisim for you. I'm a nisim of flois. I'll act my l'mayla b'derech HaTeva, even though I put the world into motion with derech HaTeva by ma'aseh bereishis, but mida keneged mida. I'll be mevater on the teva and have a different hanhoga, l'mayla b'derech HaTeva. So this was by Shabbos HaGodel that we have every year, that the Yidden went without l'mayla b'derech HaTeva. The HaTeva is to be afraid. What are we going to do? Take the set in front of them to God? They're not going to stand for it. They're going to kill us. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, we got to do what we got to do and go against what we feel like doing. Oh, if that's the case, now you're zoiche, not only that they didn't kill them, but that was the beginning of Yetzias Mitzrayim. That was mamish, the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the shechta that it started with taking the seh 4 days before, ended by shechting it the night of Pesach. They went Keneged HaTeva, and that is what brought the Gula. That's when the Gula came Pesach night, because the Eden were active, l'mayl derech HaTeva. They weren't afraid. They should have been afraid, api seichel, but they got a hold of themselves and said, no, we have to do what's right, even though it doesn't make sense, and it's connected what we feel like doing, but we're going to do HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Ratzon. And that is what brought the Geula. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted, we have to take the first step. That was the difference, which is why we say Shabbos HaGodel, we make something special about Shabbos HaGodel more than all the other Nisim. The other Nisim came by themselves. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought them, this Hadayah, they didn't do it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the Mitzrayim, Nisim, maybe as Einshim from Mitzrayim, whatever different Forshim learned was Einshim, whatever, but it wasn't that there was a Hisayrus of Klal Yisrael first. Because Chesed, he brought Makis, but it came to the Seh, that was something we had to take the first step. We had to make the Geula, for it to happen, that was the biggest nace, Makis B'chayris, and going out of Mitzrayim, that came through the Mesiras Nefesh of Klal Yisrael. They went against the Teva, and they did what they had to do. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, oh, now you're ready. I'll go connect the Teva. I'll make us Makis B'chayris. I'll take you out of Mitzrayim, Nisim in the Flois. And Eved never left Mitzrayim like Rashi. Eved was the first time in the world Eved was able to leave Mitzrayim. They had such a strong power against anybody leaving. They had shlita of everybody. Because Baruch Hu Mavatal, all the Teva, everything. You went and said, you did what you had to do, and you didn't look at what you feel like doing, what your seichel is telling you shouldn't do, but your mailam in that seichel, real is telling you, do the Ratzon Hashem. So, I think we could give a chizuk to ourselves, everybody who is working hard before Pesach. This is l'maylam derech hateva. Why derech hateva? What people do before Pesach. It's l'maylam derech hateva. Of course, we have to mention that some people go l'maylam derech hateva, which is not the right thing to do. And people go overboard too much for Pesach. With all Gedolim, everybody, the women keep hearing about it all the time. Don't do things that are not necessary. Don't do things that, and you have to listen to Gedolim Yisrael. All Gedolim Yisrael is trying. Don't. If I say Satan u'fonei me'achaveinu, the Satan comes back and pushes us to do, so it's not to do. So also, and that's it could be a ma'aseh Satan to think about. We're going too far and killing ourselves to do things more than we should be doing. So that's also not right. Everything has a balance. Naturally, has to be balance of how to get ready for Pesach. But Vinit is naturally going with the Gedarim of Al Piyat Torah, what we should be doing. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of tircha. As Keneged Ar Teva, this person naturally wouldn't be so Isaac Yamim for Laila and losing sleep and koiches and so on, and losing meals and so everything that goes on in the house. And we have to realize that this is Mamish. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was looking at it. You're going to Keneged the Teva. He's going to Keneged the Teva for us. Nisim Nestorim for sure. Of course, we're looking for Nisim Geluyim. We're looking for the Geula Shleima to come. But this, we have to realize, when we're putting all these koiches into it, it's Gevaldig Nachasur to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That he's seeing that we're not having our natural Gashim Zdika koiches that are in charge of us. We're in charge of our koiches. We go Keneged what we feel like with the person. I'd rather take it easy and I get more sleep, and we go against the Teva. So much koiches in. We have to realize because Gevaldig Nachas Ruach, and he for sure is making things happen. Shalok Derech HaTeva, Nisan Mestorim. In the meantime, things that are happening and the schus of what we're doing, Lesser Lava will be able to go back and see. It'll open up the gates of Das, and we'll see Lemafre. We'll see retroactively what happened because of the schus everybody was doing Shalok Derech HaTeva, and going against the koiches and all the balabostas for going with unnatural koiches doing, and we'll be able to see what that accomplished, because we'll open up the gates of hashpah by doing that. But I want to a little bit stelzach and talk about a little more pratistic about what we're talking about now. That's on the surface. Tzricha, working, doing, getting ready for Pesach. But to getting a little bit deeper into it, we know since we're children that chametz represents the koach hara. It represents evil. Matzah represents koach hatoiv, good things, tova. So we have to get rid of the chametz, koach hara, very unusual mitzvah. Not only not to eat chametz, but not even to own the chametz. God wants to make a roishim on us. What ra is, what evil is, we have to get rid of it. Even our reshus not to have it. Even mashahu chametz is also in Pesach. Other yisurim, mashahu is a bottle b'shishim, bottle b'elef. Chametz is b'elef, bottle. Chametz is so chomer because it represents the koach hara, the koach of evil in the world. And pratisdik, we know that the chametz represents the pratisdika koichas hara, pratisdika midas rois in the person. The chametz, we know, represents atzlus, laziness, because chametz, you have to wait. You don't make it fast. You have to wait until it rises. Those who are familiar with making chama, you let it rise, and you push it down, it rises again. Matzah is rizus, 1, 2, 3, you can't let it stand, you have to 1, 2, 3. Chametz represents gaiva, arrogance, because it rises, gets high, like a person bluster, like you're saying, a person has head high, a person who's arrogant. Gaiva is called high up. Feels himself higher than other people. Matzah is very flat, like an anivus. And chametz also represents taiva because it has a taste to it. In fact, when it becomes chametz, it's the friendly bacteria, it's called. It's chametz, it gives it a taste, like you have all types of things, cheeses and things that friendly bacteria that make certain macholim that we eat, that we enjoy. It gives it a certain taste. The fermentation of the flour and the water, the fermentation that's chametz, it gives it a taste. With not letting it ferment, it doesn't have any taste at all. You put the water, the flour together, and that's it. You bake it. There's no chance to ferment. There's no taste that comes to it. These things are also something, if we're a little bit higher above the pashtus of the mitzvah, for B'nai Torah especially, would be very appropriate if we can incorporate the inyanim of chametz and matzah while we're working on getting rid of the chametz, to think about the Torah is so makpid on chametz, so makpid on the midas of chametz, to think to ourselves while we're working a little bit, to think that maybe we could also go a little deeper into our midas and work on ourselves, think about how we can better ourselves in all these inyanim of chametz that we're talking about, inyanim of atzlus, gaiva, and taiva that lie in the inyan of chametz. So I made a little reshima. Clock around here. Oh. So a little reshima to bring out some points that I don't have it on me, I lost it. Oh, here it is. To think about, as we're getting rid of the chametz and working so hard, to go a little deeper and think maybe we can work on our midas and better ourselves. That's what HaKadosh really wants from us. Naturally, they have the Ma'aseh mitzvah, actual achilas matzah and isur chametz, and that in itself is a big mitzvah naturally. But we should think that what does this represent, and think to ourselves, can we work on ourselves and become better Yidden by thinking what chametz is all about, what matzah is all about. One of the inyanim of matzah and chametz, which says gaiva and anava. Gaiva, well, probably not too much. Many of us here are bali gaiva, in the true sense of the word, but we all have something in ourselves which schmecks from gaiva a little bit. Kas. One of the pol yetzer from gaiva is kas. People get in kas. Now, why does a person get in kas? There could be different reasons, but one thing of kas is that, how could you do that to me? There's something there. If a person would be totally unavdik, totally humble, like Hillel, he was such an unav that you couldn't get him in kas. You know, the Gemara made a bet where he would get Hillel in kas. He went mamish, talked to him a chinik over and over again. He couldn't get him in kas because he's such an unav. So there's no zich. So who am I? Mi anoichi. So if you step on my toes, so who am I? You should care about it. How should that? It's such an unav. People have a midah of kas. They have to check themselves why they're getting in kas. Maybe they're a little bit of zich in themselves. Why do people get angry at the children? We could have a discussion about that. Is it because, how could you do that? I'm your parent, and how could you do that to me? Is it me there? Or is it maybe you could say, no, my child act like that. You get upset. Vischa deraisa, such a vischa deraisa. You're upset. The child should not have kibbud of aim. Maybe that's what's bothering a parent. Maybe there's not gaiva considered in that. Maybe there is. A person would have to check if they're too angry with their children all the time. Maybe they're too nervous. I mean, other reasons. But a person has to check themselves. When it comes to that, sometimes we look down on other people that just within ourselves, we don't even bring it out to the open. We look down on people. We look at them that they're this and they're that. I'm better than they are. Better at this thing, I'm better than that thing, I'm a better person. So, Inyan of gaiva is not only to put your head up and show, but even hergish inside ourselves. Or we're looking at other people, or tzalnu lakim, so chashiv a yid, every yid so chashiv. I'm chashiv, okay, I'm chashiv also because I'm a tzalnu lakim, but he's also chashiv. Or sometimes because we tend to look down on other people, and look at the nebuch, this and that, whatever it is, they have this. We capitalize on chesanis that people have. This is something maybe to think about when it comes to chametz. I think getting rid of the chametz, of the gaiva of chametz that we're talking about. I can manage better than I can manage. I have a better manager in the house. I can turn over the house Pesach before they can turn over the house in Pesach. That's always a big thing by the who's doing it, what did they do, what are they doing, or who's doing it first, and so on. Am I better off? I'm a better balabuster, a better whatever I am, better person than job and the other person. or look at the person with the ayin toiva. Try to work on that. As we're getting rid of the chametz in Pesach, the gaiva of chametz, think about the matzah of chametz, matzah of flat, hanova, hillel, yadam anvasan kehillel. We have the inner of taiva, we're talking about desire of chametz. There's a good, better taste. The Torah is saying matzah. A lot of people are supposed to be on diet. So L'Shem Shemayim, told L'Shem Shemayim to be on the diet, to be healthy. And they don't keep it a diet. They overcome with the desire for food, and they eat too much, eat the wrong things, and this is wrong. I mean, many people suffer physical damage to their body because they don't watch their diet, and this is also a person to watch their health, to think about. People have desire to do an aveira, to speak lashon hara. Have a desire to speak. It's a big yetzer hara to speak lashon hara, to speak diburim b'Shabbos, diburim that also to speak on Shabbos. People talk about doing different things. I can do this. Of course, the klal of Shabbos is what you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. You're not allowed to say you can do after Shabbos. That's the simple klal. It's a whole similar Shulchan Aruch, but the simple klal is you can't say I'm going to drive to Washington tomorrow. You're not allowed to drive on Shabbos. I'm going to Washington. I'm going there because it's mutar al yedei burgenin, theoretically, but you can't say I'm going to cook something tomorrow. But people are very, very not careful when they speak on Shabbos to say. But it's a big yetzer hara. He wants to give a recipe. Maybe you do this. People talking with the women talking about recipes, or men talking about the different zachin. This discussion of balacha. They're going to do certain things. This is something to, and you have a time to talk about it. You have to misgaber to think about. Just think a few misholim. Everybody yishma chacham yosef lekach. This is what the Rabbi Hashem wants us to do with chametz and matzah, not just the plain chametz and matzah, but what we represent behind it. We want to better ourselves, because we're mentioned by working so hard and being so zoyer in the gashmisik matzah and chametz. We want to bring into ourselves. The third thing we talk about is the inyan of zrizus and atzlus. Atzlus, laziness that is represented by chametz. Certainly, Erev Pesach, everybody's in matzav of zrizus, but we have to think about the whole year. Maybe we have to be zohir, zoris. Maybe we come to lighting the Shabbos candles at the last minute, right before the shkia, and sometimes it's almost a suffix. Not to wait on the luach. It has 18 minutes before, 20 minutes, 18 minutes before. Should try to keep that if possible, but not to come down to the wire. The big pella always is. In the winter it's the same. In the summer it's the same thing. Everybody's the big pella. Even you have a few hours extra, but it always comes down right before. For some reason, by many people, it always comes down the last minute. It's rizus. And we come to with rizus. It's atzvus. Atzvus and atzvus, that's a difficult thing to come. People come to that are unhappy with themselves. Hashem puts them together. A person who wants to be more of a feel-good, pneumius, person who will be freilich on the outside, or make freilich on the inside. Many people have a bit of atzvus, and of course not so easy to overcome. But we have to work on it and try to have the right kind of person to talk to. A person gets in a bad mood, usually have a bad mood, other people around you suffer from it also. They give over bad mood to other people, the expression on one's face in the family, and it gives a bad mood to the whole family. If the person is a prominent person in the family and they give off an atzvustik ruach, they should have some type of way to, nice music to cheer them up, a good chaver to talk to, and call on the phone. Different ways of cheering oneself up, not to themselves be ba'atzvus, and not to give over atzvus to other people in the mishpacha. These are some of the things I made a roshim. Also, not to be atzlus to speak to his figure, to call her up and say hello once in a while. So you don't want to talk to somebody, push it off. Or somebody you feel, I say shviga, to make it funny, but it's some people you should speak to. You should have a dibur with, give him a chizuk, somebody who needs a chizuk, but you don't know you're talking to him so much, but still, so you don't have the zrizas to call, you push it off, ahin ahir, to do a mitzvah, al tach mitzena. Mitzvah, that's what we learn from this Pesach. Shmatas hamatzes, I'll take the matzah la mitzvahs. Mitzvah liyot al tach mitzena. Don't make a mitzvah chametz. If somebody's supposed to do, don't push it off. Do it with zrizus. Do it as soon as possible and not to push it off. So these are some of the things that I wanted to bring out, that as we're working on Pesach and toiling and putting koiches in, besides the etzem mitzvah and the nachas ruach that Baruch Hu has, like I said before, the fact we're pushing so much koiches into Pesach and doing the mitzvah with keneged teva, which is Oorah Kadosh Baruch Hu to be Oorah keneged us, keneged his teva, malam b'derech teva. Even more than that, let's try to think about what's represented in chametz and matzah. To think about, bring it to ourselves, to work on ourselves on a certain thing, maybe this, maybe that, one thing, two things, whatever, but to get a service from what we're doing, that we should be able to come to Kadosh Baruch Hu and say, Kadosh Baruch Hu, look, we want to get our teva. We can get the teva of what we feel like doing, but we're doing your ratzon and having me this tevas and with this research and nova and stapkus. So we want you to Messiah. You should connect your teva, connect the teva of the oilam, and bring nisam the flois, and bring the good shleimah.
Chashuv Sameach.